Oh, oh boy, what a nightmare that was. I had a dream that I was spinning around in circles, or in other words, rotating. In today's fun-filled lesson of Back to Basics, we're going to talk about just that, rotating. Now, rotating is a very frustrating thing to understand if you're watching a video because it's hard to visualize rotating. In previous lessons, we talked about translating, which meant moving. Or we talked about reflection, which means just make a mirror image of something. Well, now we're talking about spinning, and it's hard to describe spinning because our bodies don't spin very well, unless you're an acrobat, which I am not. So we're going to do the best that we can to understand everything that we can understand. Okay? This guy right here is telling us you must rotate the puzzle piece 270 degrees clockwise about a point P to fix it into a puzzle. Now this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to rotate my face 720 degrees. You ready? I just rotated it 90 degrees. Now I rotated it 180 degrees. And now I'm going to rotate it another 90, which is 270 degrees. Now my face is sideways. So what I'm going to have here is a sideways piece. But, in which direction? That's the tricky part. If I'm going clockwise, okay, this guy, and oh boy, it's going to be really hard, but let me try to draw, let me try to draw this picture as best as I can. It's actually not too bad. I'll give myself some credit. Down there. If I were to rotate it clockwise, it's going to rotate that way and end up here somewhere. Okay? Now, as I rotate it this way, let's focus on that piece, which is going to be that piece. As I rotate it 90 degrees, that piece is going to be facing downward. As I rotate it 180, that piece is going to be facing left. And as I rotated the full 270, now it's facing up. So I have a piece facing up. Look at the flat part. So let's eliminate. That eliminates you and that eliminates you. Let's look at the flat part. As I rotate it 90 degrees, okay, that flat part is going to be straight up and down. As I rotate it again, it's going to be on the top. And as I rotate it again, it's going to be straight up and down, which is that guy right there. Very bizarre. You just have to envision yourself taking that picture and rotating it and knowing that in one case, like in D, I reflected, and B and A, I don't even know what they did. But it's a tricky problem. And if you have to, you actually can take your paper and turn your paper 3 times and be like, okay, that's what it's supposed to look like. Then quick fix it and circle the one that you're supposed to circle. That's what you're supposed to do. But it's hard for me to demonstrate that on this here computer. So we're just being creative. A figure lies entirely in quadrant 2. Let's draw that figure. So this is a coordinate plane. The quadrants are 1, 2, 3, and 4 in that direction and in that order. And the figure that we care about lives right around here. If I were to rotate clockwise 90 degrees, if I were to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise, that would be 1 quadrant over. What quadrant would it live in? The first quadrant. If I were to rotate it 180 degrees, it would now live in that guy right there, and that's quadrant 4. If I were to rotate it 270 degrees clockwise, that would be 3 turns, so that would now live in quadrant 3. And if I were to jump into the air and do a 360, I'm going to land exactly where I started. So 360 means you just do a full circle, and you're going to land exactly where you started, which is quadrant 2. Identify the transformation. So in this case, I'm not even going to say, is this a rotation, yes or no? I'm just going to figure out what I'm doing. 7 has a red piece, and all of a sudden, its flipped version right next to it. It's flipped, which means it's a reflection. 8, I have a turn here. It's not reflected. It didn't get bigger. It didn't get smaller. It didn't just move. I literally took this guy and just kind of laid it flat on its ground, which means I moved it. I changed its orientation. I rotated it. This guy, I just moved it. And that's a translation. Last one. Tell whether the blue figure is a rotation of the red figure about the origin. If so, give the angle and the direction of the rotation. All right, so we're starting out with the red and we're turning into blue. Did that guy turn? No. Did that guy turn? Yes. Now, how can I get from red to blue here? Well, I spun one block, which means it's going to be 90 degrees. But in which direction? If I went that way, that is counterclockwise. Pardon my terrible handwriting. It's really hard to write on these things. Now, I could answer another way, and I'm just going to show you, but I'm not going to write it out. If I go this way, that's 270 clockwise. But I don't have to do that. Is this a rotation? Yeah. If I were to literally take, like I'm right now focused on the red. If I take this and turn my computer screen upside down, the red is now on the bottom left pointing down, and just so happens the blue is on the bottom left pointing down. This is a rotation. If I flip things upside down, it's 180 degrees. Which direction did I go? Doesn't matter. Because if I go that way 180 degrees, or if I go that way 180 degrees, I go and end up in the same spot. So this is a rotation. Most of the rotation problems that you're going to do involves you actually rotating a shape, and we didn't do that. We just mainly looked at pictures today and said, is that a rotation, or which one's going to be your answer? We actually didn't move things. So it would be best if you found a video, and you could look on my YouTube, for rotations that might show you how to rotate shapes, because this video won't quite do it justice. This is just supposed to give you like a little taste of what rotations look like. Okay? Rotations, brotations, bye!